Welcome to King of Movie Review. Today I will introduce to you the movie, The Raffle. A girl has to auction her youth for financiers because of heavy debt that. What will it be finally ended? Let's enjoy the movie. This girl is Francesca. Originally, she was a rich lady who didn't need to worry about life, but late one night, she suddenly received information about her husband's accident. In the hospital morgue, the moment she saw her husband's body, tears welled up in her beautiful eyes. At the funeral of her husband, Francesca became a widow in everyone's eyes. There were even brave people who had to give her lustful glances. And then her next life is far from the earlier plan. Her husband not only doesn't have any assets left, but also owes huge debts. Originally, the husband's accident insurance money can be partially compensated, but the lawyer told her that, because of lack of investment capital, her husband has long since cut off all insurance policies. Therefore, she will not receive any compensation. Francesca, who doesn't need to worry about life, after just one night, she dropped from heaven down to hell. The next day, when Francesca adjusted her mood, she stepped into the luxury store she usually visited. She hopes to be a sales manager here. The director thought that this was because the rich were too free to do anything, so she came to experience life. So, without hesitation, he agreed to this VIP client's request. A male guest recognized her. He used his nominal greeting to touch her body. After being slapped in the face by Francesca, she hurriedly left. The director heard that and immediately ran here. She fired her mercilessly. Francesca, after losing her source of income, put up for sale the yacht moored in the harbor. The lawyer bought it back at a much lower price than the market. Even so, Francesca felt extremely grateful. Anyway, with this money, her mother and daughter's living expenses could be stabilized. Next, Francesca sold all the luxury furniture and expensive collections in the house. The huge mansion had become empty. She told two close friends that she also wanted to sell all her limited edition luxuries. They then held a very auction. All noble ladies attended. Limited edition items around the world are always something they have a need to pursue. Among them is a rich young lady. She liked the suit that Francesca was wearing. And she was extremely generous and immediately led her straight into the changing room. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, the young lady who wore that suit stepped out. And Francesca was only wearing underwear. Although there is some money in return from the sale of luxury goods in the auction, for a debt of more than 100 million, this is just an extremely small amount. After learning that she has only 3 months left to pay her husband's debt, Francesca can only hope to find a rich man. Francesca started dating many people. The first people, this man said that he deeply missed Francesca, but he is also a family man. Because the wife was so important to his political path, the man could only give her the status of a mistress, and each month provide her with living expenses of $100,000. Of course, Francesca could not agree. Her second date is a financier with a fortune of more than $100 billion. The diamond necklace is considered a meeting gift. As soon as she saw it, she knew it was very expensive. She just marries him and all previous debts will be paid off. But the set of false teeth that he had hidden behind the frame made Francesca feel panic. So after she put the expensive diamond necklace, she hurriedly left. The friends all felt funny because of the story of going to date. At this moment, Francesca suddenly noticed in her best friend Carla's wardrobe a coat that looked very familiar. It turned out that this shirt was secretly brought home by Carla. No wonder Francesca didn't get paid for this shirt. When she saw her friend sneaking behind her like that, Francesca decided to take her revenge. She called her best friend Carla's husband to her house. Just a gentle saying that she was very lonely, she successfully seduced him. After they got intimate together, she asked the man to return the shirt to her. If not, she will bring the intimate story of them back to Carla. He realized that he had fallen into Francesca's trap. On the next day, he obediently bought her a new shirt. Then she quickly ran to the fashion store to sell this shirt. Now she not only has money to pay for her daughter's school fees, but also conveniently buys a used car. But in the end, the other man honestly told his wife everything. Carla ran to Francesca's house to ask. She reproached Francesca's tricks for being completely unscrupulous. To punish Francesca for having an affair with her husband, Carla told her that her husband actually dated another woman outside named Carmela. On the day of the accident, they had just met. In the empty mansion, Francesca and her daughter hugged each other. She used to think that she was the happiest woman in the world. Ever since then, she has always lived in lies. Early that morning, Francesca drove to Carmela's house. She admitted that she did have an affair with her husband, and once forced her husband to make a choice between me and her. In the end, he chose his family and unfortunately passed away on the way back home. When she heard the heartbreaking truth, Francesca still couldn't accept being betrayed by her husband. After returning home, she smashed all the photos taken between her and her husband. The wedding ring was on Francesca's hand also took off and threw it into the toilet. Many men want to have her, but not a single man willingly holds her hand for the rest of his life. So she wants to use sweepstakes to sell her youth for 5 years. The unit price is $100 million. Out of 20 participants in this sweepstakes, each person is required to pay $10 million to make bail. Despite a high unit price, there are still many financiers rushing in. They wanted to be intimately close to her. Someone suggested needing to be looked first. Francesca also meets to all. In the sauna, the hotel only needs to see the other person. She will give them satisfaction. Because her best friend's husband had joined her game, her friend, after scolding Francesca once, angrily left. Then Francesca wanted to find a lawyer to confide in her heartache. The lawyer took that opportunity to confess to her, willing to take care of her for the rest of her life. In the past few days, the lawyer always treated and helped Francesca. But when Francesca almost completely believed him, a woman's voice came from upstairs. Without a doubt, this polite-looking man who was saying these affectionate words was a lousy man. Francesca angrily got up and left. Then Francesca met a man who could make her fall in love. While careless while driving a car, she crashed into him. Antonio fainted on the spot, but he didn't blame Francesca for that. The humorous and interesting conversations made Francesca fall in love more deeply. Although Antonio couldn't be rich, he really showed up when she needed his help. Only by being with Antonio could Francesca temporarily forget all the bad things. The two hearts that were facing each other had completely instinctively let go. And then, just at the moment 20 people were gathered, the police suddenly closed the door of the lawyer's office. Because the police received anonymous reports and knew about this mythical game, the 20 anonymous wire transfers, all with the same face value of $10 million, were transferred in different ways to Francesca's personal account. This was proven a fact that this is an illegal transaction. The people participating in this game became extremely fear. They are financiers with positions in society. Once this is published, it will definitely form a big scandal. They could only hope on Francesca. When she was called by the police to interrogate, as long as she didn't admit it, perhaps they would have escaped this ordeal. At the police station, when Francesca faced with questions, she always showed a very cooperative attitude. These funds did indeed go to her personal account. In fact, she had to take on a huge debt was well known. They are all friends of her husband. After knowing that Francesca was in financial difficulty, they hope that she and her daughter can continue to live a normal life. They all agreed to transfer anonymously was because they were afraid that Francesca's self-esteem would be hurt. All these declarations left the police with nothing to say. Anyway, except for those wire transfers, the police didn't have any corroborating evidence. So the great scandal was resolved. It wasn't long since Francesca and Antonio were married. They lived happily together.